It's called the Ten Commandments of the Antichrist by some, and America's Stonehenge by others. Some say that it's evil and satanic, while others say that it's the holiest spot on earth and that the Holy Grail is buried underneath it. What I'm referring to is the very controversial Georgia Guidestones in Elberton, Georgia in Elbert County. Elberton is in the northeast of the state, and it's near the South Carolina border, and it's also the granite capital of the world. The stones were built to survive the apocalypse, so on the Guidestones are recommendations to the civilization that survives a cataclysmic event that wipes out most of humanity. It has one very controversial recommendation that has caused some very interesting conspiracy theories, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. There's also a security camera that monitors the location because of past vandalism, and a lot of people really do not like this monument, but don't worry, I'll tell you why shortly. The story began on a Friday afternoon in June of 1979 when a tall, attractive, gray-haired man traveled to Elbert County and visited the offices of Elberton Granite Finishing. He introduced himself as Robert C. Christian, and he told Joe Finley, the company president, that wasn't his real name. He said he used that name for anonymity and because he was a follower of Jesus Christ. He said that he represented a group of people that wanted to remain anonymous and that had been secretly planning the Guidestones for about 20 years, and that he'd come to Elberton because of the climate and because they had the best granite on earth. Once R.C. Christian started explaining what he wanted on the stones, Joe Finley thought that he was a bit off, so he tried to discourage the man by giving him a quote that was several times higher than the actual cost. But that didn't faze Christian, so he also told Finley that the monument had to be able to survive the apocalypse. He told Finley that our civilization was going to destroy itself, and the monument would provide instructions for those that were left after an earth-changing cataclysmic event. The Guidestones weren't meant to be just a bunch of instructions for the future of mankind. It also had to function as a clock, a calendar, and a compass. So Joe Finley sent Christian to Wyatt Martin, who was the president of the Granite City Bank at the time. And Wyatt Martin told Christian that he couldn't proceed until he could verify his identity and that R.C. Christian could prove that he could actually pay for this very strange project. So they made an agreement that R.C. Christian would reveal his real name only if Wyatt Martin promised his services. So intermediary, he had to sign a confidentiality agreement. He also had to agree to destroy all documents and any records that were related to the project once it was completed. So Wyatt Martin and Joe Finley were very skeptical, but a $10,000 deposit did arrive and work started shortly after that. So Christian sent money from different banks across the country so that it couldn't be traced. And Christian met with Finley and gave him a shoebox that contained a wooden model of the monument that he wanted, as well as several pages of detailed specifications. Once they agreed on a location for the monument, Wayne Mullenix, the landowner, signed over a 5-acre plot for $5,000. Once things were underway, Christian stopped by Joe Finley's office to say goodbye and that you'll never see me again. So from then on, Christian only wrote letters to Wyatt Martin to ask that ownership of the land be transferred to the county. So the letters would come from cities all over the country, and they never came from the same place twice. The project took 9 months to complete, and workers had to trim 4 tons from each stone so that they would fit the exact specifications. The total amount of the project wasn't revealed, but banker Wyatt Martin said that it was well over $100,000. On March 22, 1980, the Georgia Guidestones were unveiled on the vernal equinox, which is the March or spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. The stones are each 16 feet tall, with 4 of them weighing more than 20 tons. They support a 25,000-pound capstone, and a 100-foot crane was used to lift the stones into place. The messages on the stones are written in 8 languages: English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. The United Nations provided some of the translations. The capstone says, "Let these be Guidestones to an age of reason," and that is written in classical Greek, Sanskrit, Egyptian hieroglyphs, and Babylonian cuneiform. An additional stone tablet that's set in the ground a short distance to the west of the actual monument provides some information on the history and the purpose of the Guidestones. The astrological features on the stone were so complex that the builder, Joe Finley, had to work with an astronomer from the University of Georgia.